Hi, this is Deja from CrochetEverAfter.com, and right now I'm going to show you how to half double crochet decrease in the round. Alright, I'm going to show you how to decrease in half double crochet when you're working in the round. I have a round of 16 half double crochets, and I'm starting here because on any other round, if it was a bigger project, I could always decrease at different parts of my project. And I'll explain what that means in a second. But on this round, when I'm decreasing, because I'm working half double crochet, I'm now going to have to decrease every single stitch. So that's important to learn how to do, because when you chain 2 for your half double crochet, you have to figure out if you're going to use that as a stitch or not. Now if this was my third round, and if you've seen my other tutorials, you know that to make a flat disc in half double crochet, you have to increase every single round by 8 stitches. So if this was my third round and I'm increasing by 8 every single round, I would have 24 stitches. Now if this chain 2 counts as a stitch and I'm on my third round, I could chain 2 and that'll be my first stitch, and then I would decrease my next 2 stitches. So decreasing means I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up that loop. So I have 3. This would be where I would yarn over and finish my half double crochet, but because I'm decreasing, I stop at this step. I yarn over and I'm going into my next stitch now, because I'm decreasing 2 stitches into one, and now I have 5 loops on my hook. I finish off my decrease by yarning over and pulling through all 5 of those loops. Now I'm pretending that this is my third round. So what I would do next is just a regular half double crochet. And then I would decrease again. And I would do that all the way around. I would have one half double and then a decrease, and then another half double and then a decrease. And that would bring my stitch count to 16 stitches, which is what this round is. Now, to decrease from 16, and I take off 8, I'm taking off every other stitch, which means I need to decrease every stitch around. Now, if I'm counting my chain 2 as a stitch, if I wanted to decrease these 2 stitches into one, I would have to skip this next stitch. And you can see that if I did that, I'm going to just decrease these 2 real quick. I'll go over the steps again in a little bit. By skipping that stitch, I create a big hole. When I join my round, I'm going to have that big hole showing in my project. So whether I count my chain 2 or not, when I get to this round, where I have only 16 stitches left, I need to not count that chain 2 as a stitch, because I need to work into every stitch around so that I don't have that big hole. This is a total personal preference. This is just the way that I like to do it so that I don't have that hole. If you don't mind the hole, you can go ahead and just skip that stitch. But I don't want the hole, so I'm going to work into both of these stitches to turn it into one and pretend that chain 2 isn't there. So I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to insert my hook into the same stitch that I joined my round, that little hole right there. And I'm going to lay over my yarn and pull up that loop. Then I stop so I can work into my next stitch. My next stitch always looks a little funny. It's always kind of small from that join. So if you're not sure if you're supposed to be working into that little tiny thing there, you can count backwards from the stitches you've made. So you count backwards and you'll see that that is the 15th stitch. So that is the one you need to work into. So I yarn over and put my hook through and pull up another loop, and now I have the 5 loops on my hook that I should. I'm going to yarn over and finish this decrease. Now if you find yourself getting stuck trying to pull through all these loops, the trick to getting through is making sure that your hook is pointing straight down at your work, and then it's going to slide easily through all those loops that you have on your hook. So if you're getting caught up a lot when you're working, make sure your hook is pointing straight down as you pull through and you won't get caught. So again, I'm going to decrease these next 2 stitches. Your pattern will either say HDC 2 together or TOG, that would be the abbreviation, or it'll say decrease, and then in the abbreviations it'll tell you that you're half double crocheting 2 together. If you're only using half double crochet, then it might just say decrease. If you have other stitches in your project, then it'll probably say HDC 2 together. So again, I have worked half of both of those stitches, and now I'm going to pull through. And you can certainly decrease more than 2. Your pattern may say HDC 3 together. Whatever the pattern tells you, that's just what you're going to do. You're going to work up to that final step before you pull through all your loops 3 times. So you yarn over and insert your hook into each of the 3 stitches and pull up that loop, and now you have 7 loops on your hook, even bigger. So point your hook down so you can get through all those without getting stuck, and now you've made an HD3 together. So whatever your pattern tells you, just follow it. Same steps, as many as you need to get that decrease done. But as you see, it starts to cup up, and you're going to make kind of a bowl shape by decreasing. Let me do a couple so you can see this bowl. When it starts to cup up, sometimes it may want to cup up to where you're working inside. This is not the correct way to work it, because if you were to actually close this completely down, it'd be really difficult because you're working inwards instead of outwards. So you always want to push it so it's like a bowl and you're working around the outside of the bowl. So if you're making an actual ball where you're closing it up on the next round, you're going to need it on the outside. So let me do a couple more so you can see how well this cups up. And you can use this to make a felted bowl. You can use wool and use these steps to round out a bowl to felt. Or even if you just want a half double crochet normal ball, you can do that. So decrease as it tells you, and just remember that once you get to the second to last round where you're decreasing every single stitch, if you don't like that hole, don't count your chain 2 as a stitch. Just do the chain 2 and then work an actual decrease. And then when you join the round, you can just join it in the chain 2 or right in that space of the chain 2 and be no problem. That's how you decrease in half double crochet in the round.